Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Riz Cheese Radio Podcast. I'm your host, Schmidt, and I'm joined, as always, in your place for horological hot takes, taboo topics, and often unpopular opinions with my buddy. You guys know him. You love him, Mr. Bro Dinky. Bro, what's up?
Yo. Nothing, man. It's a great night to be recording here. I just got done with a long day of work and ready to talk some watches. How about you?
Yeah, man. It's another long day. Early this morning, as I'm sure it was for you, and long night. So taking care of the little ones, but getting together to record a podcast again, finally in person again. So glad to be here.
Yeah, before we jump into topic, a couple things. First off, I did start watching that show that you sent me the preview of, The Bear, that's on FX. It's streaming.
Oh, yeah,
I think
yeah.
it's streaming on Hulu.
Yeah. Is it good?
So pretty good. It's Jeremy Allen White. You might know him from Shameless. He plays Lip
Okay. All right.
Gallagher, and he's basically this chef that's, I guess he's burnt out. He used to be the chef de cuisine of some big restaurant. They don't say what it was, but it's in the realm of that Noma, Alinea, all those famous ones. They show him like flashbacks and stuff, and I'll tell you, I went down a little bit of a memory trip there because I've been to a lot of the places that they reference mentally in this show and everything, and some of the things he gets into. But pretty cool, and they do show some technique and stuff, and for the most part, it's pretty spot on. A couple places I had a couple criticisms. Like if you're gonna, it's a little off topic here, but like if you're gonna braise something, so like basically cook it for a long time in liquid, almost like stew.
Yeah.
You're not gonna chop everything up super nice because you don't need it to. Because by the time you take
It's
out,
gonna fall apart.
yeah, exactly, it's gonna go to mush. So like they show him super nice small dicing these vegetables for this Italian beef braise that he's doing, and like it doesn't really make sense. Okay, fine. I can overlook that. And like he has a little like trainee, and they just show her like chopping away at onions, like as if it takes forever. Like you could fly through a bag of onions with a sharp knife in like 3 minutes, like a big bag, like 40-pound bag of onions, just fly right through.
You probably can. I'll cut my fingers off.
I can't lie.
I cannot.
Heard the knife skills in the show. I've seen better. All right,
Okay.
Attacking the knife, the onion the wrong way. I wasn't that happy about that, but everything else is pretty funny. Like they use a lot of jargon, they use a lot of the communication that we do and stuff. So it was pretty cool on that. And yeah, he almost plays the same character. He almost plays Lip. Like he almost I think this is just his typecast, is that he's this sort of not a mess up, but like somebody who has successes and then just has like extreme swings of failure and like self-defeat and things like that. So, but a cool show.
Always on and then always off.
Yeah,
at the same time.
I'm like I got like 3 episodes in while I was meme farming last night. So
I like
pretty cool show though.
Well, I'll definitely have to give it a shot because I saw the preview for it and I was like, oh, I wonder if this would be something that bro would be interested in. So I fired it your way. But I'm out of stuff to watch. I just finished Stranger Things. So
I did too.
At least for this first half of the season, I think the new episodes, the last
like
half,
a week or two.
Yeah, it comes out on July 1st. So I'm all caught up until that point. So I'm just ready to finally put this show to bed, which I've really enjoyed watching. It's been very good. I watched some of the other stuff that's come out recently. Obi-Wan Kenobi, not a huge fan. I think it's kind of bad. But there's a lot of stuff out there that's good. So it'll be fun to kind of see how that goes.
Yeah, definitely. The other cool thing I did want to mention before we hop into things is you sent me something that was really cool earlier, that if you go on the Seiko Watch USA Instagram page, they have a make your own Seiko 5.
Yeah, and apparently you can customize it now.
Mix and match, and the designs that get the best votes are going to have a chance at becoming actual Seiko models.
Yeah, this is super cool. I don't think I've ever seen a brand do this before. I mean, there's always been kind of brands out there on smaller stream kind of piece, and now you have kind of a mainstream brand really taking the helm over this to give their consumers customization, which, as we know, has always been the case for Seiko. I mean, they are the king of mods and customization, and now you're having that opportunity to do it straight from the factory in a way that's cool. And if it's popular enough, it'll become a full-fledged piece in the collection, which I think is very cool.
Yeah, I can't tell if it's genius in the realm of we're out of ideas, let's farm the fanatics and see what they come up with, or if it's let's get some outreach here and give people a hands-on experience. But either way, I'm for it.
I mean, for me, I just think it's a great money making opportunity. I mean, because here's the thing: if you buy a Seiko 5 and you buy just the regular model retail right off the shelf, and it's X amount of dollars, if I can spend a little bit more and buy a completely customized version that I want, that I design, I'd much rather do that because then I don't have to mod it. It's already modded for me from Seiko, from the factory, right? This is a way for Seiko to take, you know, it's like when you buy all the extra parts on a car at the dealership, right? They put on the new rims, they
And you
put
get a
on the new
warranty.
tires. They give you the warranty, all that stuff. I mean, it's fresh from the factory. More people are likely to do it, even if it means spending a little bit more money because you know it's OEM, it's from the factory, and it's something that allows you to personalize your stuff without having to go out and buy a hand setting tool and a crystal press and like all this other stuff to actually mod the watches yourself, right? So it keeps the money in Seiko's pocket, and I think it's a great idea, and it's just easier for the consumer at the end of the day. So it's
I
good.
just had an evil thought.
What's that?
Well, because people are always asking me when I'm going to get my own watch. I think I should just make one on this and just have everybody upvote it, and then bang, Seiko will have to make my watch. I mean, it won't have my branding on it, but I'll just make it black, white, and red and say to hell with it.
That's actually not a bad idea.
Right?
I wonder if there's any pink colors that we could do. I haven't played around with the customizer yet. So
Me either, but it looks awesome. I'm really stoked to do that. But speaking of pink, since you brought it up, one last little tidbit on that. Um, I think both Strap Habit and I are a little thrilled with what has taken place. Everybody has shown a lot of support for the little strap effort we put together, and we did raise a pretty good penny there. I believe it has put my total, because he hasn't kicked the entire donation in yet because he's doing another round of straps and then he's going to wait till October. But between he and I, we've kind of compared notes, and I think it's got me up over $4,000. And the kicker, he is applying for a company match up to $1,000, so it's going to put me over 5. I'm almost to my last year's goal already.
That's amazing. And I'll say this: these straps are awesome. They're really, really, really nice. I've never had a Strap Habit strap before. I saw when he, and I feel kind of bad because you didn't even tell me about it. And he was like, I just see it on Instagram, and I'm like, what? He did a strap collab and didn't tell you, boy.
Well, dude, I don't wanna, if it fails, I don't want to be like, yo, check this out, and then it sucks.
Well, I mean, coming from you and coming from Strap Habit, I mean, I know this guy's done. He's very highly regarded. He's kind of coming up, but a lot of people are buying his stuff. The straps are phenomenal. I think this is one of the best sailcloth straps I've ever had. It's very, very flexible. It's really, really nice.
2 lengths. Can't hate on that.
Yeah, 2 lengths. I mean, I'm rocking this shorty because I got small wrists, but you have the regular size version if you need that. Quick chain spring bars. I mean, it looks amazing, and it looks good on every single watch that I've seen.
That reinforcement, which is nice. It's not flimsy.
It's just really, really nice, and I love the fact. And I don't know if this is part of your design process or not. I love the fact that you guys incorporated 2 colors of pink. You have the lighter shade for the actual material of the strap, and I love the darker kind of more hot pink for the actual reinforcement for the holes on the strap. I think it's such a good idea. It's very simple design aesthetic, but it just looks really, really cool. So I'm happy with my strap. I was probably one of the first people to get it because as soon as I saw it go live, I just ordered it. But I was very happy to get it. The straps are amazing. So if you have not already ordered it, I think you mentioned on the last podcast he's out of 20s, right?
For now.
In stainless steel, but he is doing a restock, but he's also doing odd sizes too. Is that right?
He's gonna get some 21. Well, because he knows I'm wearing it, the Grand Seiko. He's like, dude, we got to get it on there. And I'm like, well, it's a 21. And he's like, all right, 19s and 21s coming, especially because a lot of the vintage Datejusts are 19.
Yeah.
This thing would look great on a vintage Datejust, like.
Well, I mean, even still, I mean, like you look at like a First Omega and Space Speedmaster, like that's a 19. There's some GSs out there that are 19s. My
Diver 300. Yep.
Yeah, it's a 21. So like there's a lot of straps out there that are gonna be nice to have that 21 millimeter size. So I think that's fantastic. I might just have to get another one for my 300. Don't tell my wife. She doesn't listen to this podcast anyway, so it's fine.
Yeah,
the
I will
sneak
give
that
him
in
the
there.
credit though. That second pink reinforcement was all his idea. We kind of just we just casually bounced the ideas back and forth like over a few days and just kind of got it done and pretty
I
pleased
love it.
with the turnout. So
I love it, man. I think it's great, and the fact that that this is not only a good cause for him as a company, but I know he's got personal involvement in this cause with the family members. So I think all around it's just a great idea, and it's really refreshing to see how well the watch community has come together to support something as simple as this. And to me, that's really powerful. And I'm glad that this initiative is getting people energized and wanting to donate. I mean, it's a very simple thing to do. Donate money with your strap purchase. I think that's so easy, and you get a great piece of something that you can wear daily, and it looks absolutely fantastic. So, um, you and Strap Habit, I can't give you guys enough praise. I think it's a great idea what you guys have done, and I look forward to getting some more straps. That's for sure.
yeah, we'll see how the restock goes, and I'm kind of excited to see where the number ends up at the end of the year. But big thanks to everybody for kicking in or even just helping spread the word. So thanks a lot.
Absolutely.
Okay, to today's topic. First and foremost, we missed last week. I have to wish you a happy Father's Day as a fellow dad. I know we didn't get to do that because you were away on business, which is even worse. You were traveling in the week of Father's Day, away
Yeah,
from
it
your
is. It
family.
is what it is.
Yeah, I'm almost like that too, even though I'm just going to work. I mean, my family just doesn't see me.
Yeah.
but in honor of that, I mean, we did want to do something dad related as a topic, but we don't just want to take the old, well, what's the dad watch episode? I feel like that's been done a bunch of times already,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? But I did want to do something dedicated to the dads out there. I know a lot of people in our direct network, our dads, fellow collectors, and things. The idea of the dad watch has always sort of been, I want to say, one of three maybe archetypes. You have like the
Okay.
Timex or Casio dad, right? Like an Iron Man, easy reader, weekender, calculator watch, very
Yeah.
pragmatic. You have date just dad. I know a lot of people who, oh, my dad had a Rolex. It's always a date just.
Yeah. For sure.
Once in a while, Samara, but almost always a date just. Then you have like rando fashion watch dad who just, I don't know what the difference between gold plating and actual gold is. I don't know why I thought a real gold watch would be $300, but I bought this anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my dad.
Yeah.
But I thought maybe we should put a little respect on dad's name and give him an upgrade in this episode.
I like it.
Sort of exhibit hopping out, right? We heard your dad likes watches. We're going to pimp his watch.
I'm here for it.
Right. So, sort of in the idea of getting a watch for dad, and I was thinking about this realistically, not just, well, let's just give him a Submariner, or let's just give him an Explorer 2. I want it to be something that I would actually give somebody who's a dad.
Yeah.
Right. And thinking about that, I don't want something irreplaceable. So I don't want something limited. I don't want something super expensive. I don't want something that if he damages it, loses it, he's going to feel
Look, man.
bad. I'm going to feel bad. No. So I wanted to keep it. I came up with an arbitrary number. I think I want to keep it under $2,000 because I think that'll give us an interesting pool to pick from
Okay.
here.
All right. I'm down.
So I'm still trying to come up with picks that are respectable, but they'll still enjoy wearing and not have to worry about it too much. If that
sure.
makes sense.
No, for sure. I mean, look, when it comes to watches, I mean, as you said, everyone's going to kind of do their defaults, you know? And when you told me this topic, I was really focusing on doing something that was a little bit off the cuff, you know, some stuff that's interesting to look at, some stuff that's a little bit unusual, but some stuff that's going to put some respect on dad's name. You know, like this is going to be a nice upgrade for him that if he shows up, you know, somewhere with a group of friends or work colleagues, this is something that probably people are going to ask him about. And I think that's kind of a cool thing. You know, for me, it's all about kind of finding like the Nike Air Monarch of watches for the dad, right? Like I need something that the dad's going to be like, all right, we're going to crush some cans, we're going to mow the grass, and we're going to cook some steaks. Like that's kind of like what I'm looking at. So when you told me about this idea, I was like, yes, I think that this is fantastic. In celebration of all dads out there, which I know we have a lot of that listen to this podcast. So let's do it. I'm ready to go when you are.
Yeah, my other kind of train of thought here is I think it's kind of common knowledge now that we've sort of, now that we are living longer, our, I don't know how to describe it, our different periods of life are sort of getting longer. Like I
Yeah.
find, and I don't know if it's just because I'm going through it and I don't feel old myself, even though I'm about to be 37. Um, like I feel like the up and coming dads now are like not the same dads when I was growing up. That seemed like so much more mature and like reserved. Like,
Yeah.
look, I'm wearing a pink strap. You're wearing a bright orange strap. We're both dads, right? We're
Yeah.
not wearing the Casio calculator watch with my pocket protector and my glasses and my Oxford buttoned up all the way. Like, I'm
Yeah.
wearing a
Yeah. Yeah.
Ninja Turtle shirt for God's sake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like because of, I don't know if it's the delayed adolescence or what. Like, I just feel like the range of youthful exuberance has widened, and so you're getting a little bit more of the playful dad now, right? I mean, I have two young boys. You have a young daughter. Like, I still like to get in there and mix it up with them. So
Absolutely.
it's
Absolutely.
not. I don't feel like it's the same as when I was a kid, and maybe it's just a perspective thing. Maybe it's just because I was the little boy and I was looking up at people and I thought they were so much more mature and didn't, want to be in that same kind of mindset as I was. Now I'm looking down at them and it's very different. I just, I want to hang out and play. But I think we can come up with some stuff that is not super reserved, but still awesome for the dads we know.
Oh yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. But you're right. I think dads overall, I mean, especially generationally, it's just very different. I mean, I look at my father as a dad and his style and kind of how he presents himself to the world. And there's so many other people in his age demographic that are, very much the same way. And to you and I mean, we're different in age for sure, but we still kind of fall within the same age demographic group. And you're right. I mean, rocking crazy shirts, doing stuff with fun colors, being with the kids. I think dads today are a little bit more hands-on than maybe they were in the past. Just given, moms at work and do all these things and pulling double duty. So, I'm not afraid to mix it up with the kids and do what we have to do. So I'm ready.
All right, so I guess I'll go first. And I have a couple that I feel like are super right in the wheelhouse, and then a couple that are curveballs. So off the bat, I think an easy one that sort of fits into that tough watch that dads always liked, kind of the gotta. I would definitely go with a Zin. I think that's an easy pick. Something in the lower ranks,
Okay.
556, 104. I don't think you go wrong with honestly any of their models, but something that it's tough, he's not gonna be able to damage it, plenty of water resistance, he can, garden, he can go on the boat if that's his thing, right? You could take that thing anywhere. You could throw it on rubber, you could wear it on a bracelet, get him a nice H-link. He can wear that around the office, he could wear that hanging out with the bros. He's, I don't know if he's gonna go golfing or whatever, or just kick back and have some buds, but I think that's a watch that if somebody who is in the know sees, they're going to go, oh, Zin, this guy knows what he's doing. And
Yeah,
if
for sure.
not, you still have that sort of, that kind of basic, it looks good, I don't know what it is type of watch, like for the person who's not in the
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I don't really know how to describe it, but
No, I mean, it's just simple. It's the ultimate utilitarian timepiece.
exactly. That's more or less what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I mean it looks great. It's gonna function. It's gonna work really really well, and it's just gonna look the part. It's gonna be a watch he's gonna put on. It's gonna wear faithfully, and it's like I think we've touched on this before in the podcast, but it's just like sometimes you know I wish that I was that collector that just had like the same watch and wore it for like 30 years.
Yep.
Like that to me is kind of like that watch. It's just like you put it on and then like 30 years go by and you're like, yeah, I've been wearing this. I don't even know how to pronounce it, but it is sin, I think, or Zin, like I don't know. It just works. And it's like that's kind of the idea. Like to me, that's a perfect choice.
Yeah, it was one of those watches that it was sort of a no-brainer and it was sort of right down the middle, but I figured I would lead off with that this way I can kind of stray from the norm out from here.
Yeah, I think that's a good choice, and it's funny because the first pick that I have, um, I don't know why it's like it's probably not like the best watch for a dad, especially to kind of like upgrade the wrist game a little bit. But every time I think about it, I think about it as like a dad's watch, and that's something that I know that has a soft spot in your heart, and that's the Hamilton Khaki Field Mechanical,
Yep.
and specifically the new one that's on the bracelet because it came out with a new reference on a bracelet maybe a year ago or so now. It's a manual wine, so I'm sure that there's going to be some hesitation about how that would be a nice watch for a dad. But I think dads in many ways are kind of old fashioned minded. There's this idea that you want to do things the old fashioned way because there's a connection there to whatever it is, whether it's driving a manual car, changing your spark plugs, mowing the grass with a gas mower, not some fancy electric battery operated one, like just doing things the simple way, the way that they were always intended to be done. I think is kind of something that resonates with dads. And I think, this watch for me is kind of that perfect vein. It's very simple, like you mentioned with the Zin. It's that sterile military. It's like it looks good, but it's not overly flashy or something that's going to draw attention to you. It's just like you put it on, you wind it up, it bangs out for 70 hours or 80 hours, whatever the power reserve is, and it just works. And at 500, 600, less than $600, $575 US, it's kind of hard to beat it. You can put it on NATO, you can put it on rubber, you can put it on whatever the hell you want to, and it's just going to continue to work for years and years and years.
Yeah, that's a winner all the way around. I've owned one. It's amazing, and it's a watch I would definitely get again. I definitely miss that one. I miss the way it wears a lot and the versatility of it. But I think it's exactly like you said. I think for some reason, as you get older as a guy, you get this attachment to analog. And I think it's sort of just the appreciation for the generations before you of doing all this hard work, figuring the stuff out, putting it together. It's like people who still use vinyl. Some people are
Yeah.
just like these audiophiles who are like, it has to be vinyl. I'm going to listen with my super fancy headphones and just enjoy the listening experience. And this is the only way to do it. And they look at you with your MP3 player and your AirPods, and they're like, "Oh my god, you heathen!" You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, for sure, for sure.
so they're all about the analog. I think it's exactly like you said, manual car, all of these things that people still enjoy, even though they're not necessarily technologically advanced anymore.
Yeah,
But at one time they were. They were the top of the props, right?
yeah,
But I think it's sort of just our attachment to our previous generation that there's something about it. And I think it's kind of the appreciation for watches in general. And that's what, to harken back to the whole conversation I had put out there with Shatner, he said the same thing. He's like, it's just this appreciation for the ability to make something this complex and have it do something so well. Like, I know we joke about accuracy of watches and people like to rag on watches that keep outside of like 10-second spec, but
yeah,
I've listened to some very well educated people discuss timekeeping and people, watchmakers and such, and they're like, listen, if you're in the right minute, I want you to just think about this on a grand scale. That's a very accurate timekeeping device. And I was like, yeah, you're kind of right. Like, if it's got you in the right minute, unless you need to be down to the second, that's an accurate timekeeping device. Like
yeah,
in the grand scheme of a day, right? How many minutes are in a day? You could be in any other minute, but you're not. And I was like,
yeah.
oh, you're right, man. I
And,
agree.
and, and it's crazy. I mean, not to get on a side tangent, but if we think about the origins of time, like time started as a way to codify and signify when religious ceremonies would start. You had town clocks and stuff like that. You'd be lucky if they were accurate within 30 minutes, an hour. I mean, like we get all up in arms when our watches are off by 5 seconds, 10 seconds. Watches and clocks back in the day used to be off by hours, minutes, like considerable amounts of time. Where today it's like, you're late by half an hour, like that's a big deal,
Oh
you
yeah.
know. But if your town clock was off by half an hour, well, it was kind of in the realm of accurate, like, but that was the thing, right? So it's 100% true. Exactly what you're saying. It's like we take this for granted, but it's like when you think about a watch and the fact that several hundred components have to work in perfect harmony, perfect synchronicity to give you the accurate second of every minute, of every hour, of every day, of every week, of every year is insane. And that's something that we all take for granted today, but it's 100% true.
Also explains why things like perpetual calendars are so expensive.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And definitely don't set one of those incorrectly.
No. All right, for my second choice, I'm going to go with a complete change up here. Coming in at half my budget, which is quite nice, is the Nevada Depth Master.
I knew you were gonna put one of these Nevadas on there. I knew it.
You know, it's hard
I
not to.
purposefully did not do one because I was like, I think bro's gonna pick one of
Well, do
these.
you want to hear something funny? I purposely didn't pick a Hamilton khaki for the
Did
same
you
reason.
really?
I stayed away from it on purpose.
Why do we know each other? We know each other too much.
But so I would go Depth Master, right? Because it gives you sort of a unique case shape. You get that kind of, I don't even know how you describe that sort of Panerai-ish, Luminor-ish case
Yeah,
shape.
they call it like a mini Panerai.
Yeah, a
I
lot
don't
of
know if
times.
that's like the right name for it, but everyone seems to use that universally. So there you go.
Yeah,
Mini
and you get
Panerai.
some funk. You get the Pac-Man dial, right? You can get any assortment of colors and different loom treatments and stuff on the new ones. And I mean, it's a badass diver. It can go. I think it's 1,000 meters.
Yeah,
So
I
like,
think
what's
you had brought this up before, and I had to do a Google search. I was like, "There's no way that little thing is 1,000 meters." And I think I remember I was checking it, and I was like, "What?"
yeah, and it's really not a bad size. It's not anywhere near as gigantic as a Panerai, which is great.
And the
And the
price is just so good.
price can't beat it. So like for $1,000, you know what? If he beats the crap out of it, no harm, no foul, and he gets a unique timepiece with plenty of utility and something that not a lot of people are going to know, but people that in the know are going to say, "Is that a Panerai? Look closer. Oh no, it's a Nevada. Oh, this guy is like in."
Yeah, like I want my dad to be in. Like somebody notices that watch is like, dang, like that's a cool watch. Like I'll tell you a side tangent. I was at a store in New York City recently that was a watch store, and I remember this young kid walking in, and he had, and I don't think I've shared this story with you because it just happened, but he had a Mito, but it was the 1962 tribute with the decompression scales on the dial. We've talked about it before on the
Yeah,
podcast,
yes we
that
have.
limited edition, right? And I immediately just like eyes just like flung to this
It's
watch because
very
it's just
unique.
it's super unique, and it's just not something that, looking at this kid who's again probably 19, maybe 21 years old, it's just like you're looking at this, and I just had to go up to him. I was like, "Hey man, I love your watch. Like, why did you choose this one?" He's like, I found it. A buddy of mine had it. I fell in love with it. He has the black one. I got the blue one. And it's just like, it's my favorite watch. I'm like, that is so cool. I love this watch. I've never seen one in person on anybody else. And for you to be rocking it, like, I immediately know like you're in deep.
Mad
Like that
respect.
is not, yeah, exactly. Mad respect. That's just not a typical choice, right? So we talked for a little bit, but he was very savvy, knew lots of stuff about watches. He was definitely in the watch fam for sure. So good dude. But yeah, I was just like, yes, all the yes for that watch
Yeah, and an under the radar brand, which is also cool, right? It's
for
not
sure.
so out there. I mean, the watch is out there, but the branding is certainly not.
No, absolutely, absolutely. Um, so on that note, speaking of divers, that was actually going to be my next pick. I know you're a big Seiko head, and Seiko recently released a small trio of timepieces that I think would be, in many ways, as I kind of mentioned, the Air Monarch of dad watches. Just classic divers. We have the new references, the SPB 313, 315, and subsequently 317. On bracelet, these models come in at 1,100 US. I think the model on the rubber strap is slightly lower, which I think is great. I mean, regardless, at $1,100 US, you're getting a phenomenal timepiece. And, for these being kind of in that prospectsy vein, they're a little bit more elevated in price point than your standard Seiko, but you're getting a fantastic timepiece. All three models are very, very attractive. They look great. It's kind of a little vintage inspired, but still obviously got some modern sensibilities in the design. And I had a chance to see one of these in person at a retailer uh, um, in Dallas that had just received them. So they are shipping now. But the watch is fantastic. I thought it was very, very well built. The bezel action is great, at least on the model that I tried. But I really like the watch, and I think this would be a great timepiece for a dad. You know, it's something that, as I mentioned, you can crush some cans with the boys, you can go swimming, you can mow the grass, you can cook up some nice steaks, you can do all the stuff that dads really look forward to doing this time of the year. And that is the perfect watch to do it in.
Yeah, and I think it's a familiar design with not only with regard to Seiko, but just divers in general because of the history of all the different dive watches, Submariners, Blancpains, etc. Like they've all had that sort of aesthetic that is very familiar, and so I think it sort of gets you the nod in that regard. But you also get some pretty cool provenance with the loose tie to the Captain Willard, right? You
Yeah,
get that
exactly.
cool Marlon Brando vibe. I know it's a Slim Willard they call it, but
It just wears good, man. But
yeah,
that's
it's
even
it's
better.
it's a great case, and it gives
It's
you some
even
options.
better.
You can do the gilt, you can do the white, which is a rare dial color for a diver. But I think the black on black is my personal favorite. Now, the interesting part about that, and I don't know if anybody else noticed this, but I did when I was looking at the renders, the artist left the date off of the 317.
What?
So you can go on the one, everybody's got the same pictures. It's the one, I think Hodinky had them last, but go on their Instagram, look up their renders where you can flip through the different ones. And at first I thought, oh, the angle's just not good enough that the date isn't sticking out. And then I looked at where the date is on the white one and I'm like, no way, the date is just missing.
Oh, but it's only on the picture though, right?
Yeah. It's not on the actual watch, but on the render, it's not there. So if you go to their picture, it's the white one, right? Look at where the date is.
Uh-huh.
Go to the gilt, and then go over to the next one. It's not there.
Hmm.
And I said, oh, maybe it's just perspective. And I flick back and I'm like, nope, it should definitely show.
This is on which site?
Go on Hodinky's Instagram.
Oh, Hodinky's Instagram. I'm
Yes,
looking
go
at
on.
their
No,
webpage.
not their webpage. Go on their Instagram.
Okay. All right. Hold on. Stand by.
This is a live tangent here.
Live tangent. I love it.
Okay,
Let's
so
see.
fifth last picture. It's a white Slim Willard.
Slim Willard.
You see where I'm at?
Oh,
Right?
you're
It's not there.
right.
And it's, again, I thought maybe I was crazy and I was like, oh, it's just a perspective. I flick back. I'm like, nope, that date should definitely be showing there. And it's not on the
Yeah.
render.
You're right. You're right.
Busted.
It, yeah, it's definitely not there. We should send all of our Rich Cheese family to that particular picture and just comment with a little cheese. I would love that. I would really, really appreciate that. Just go to this picture and comment with a little cheese. I'll start it off. There you go.
Nice. In the spirit of cheese, I'm going to go with my next pick. Just kidding. But it is a watch you can get in yellow. And believe it or not, this is a watch that you actually own. So, perfect dad watch. I'm
Uh-oh.
going with the Doxa Sub 2 Hundo.
Ah, yes, good
Right? I
choice.
mean, for the price, how do you beat it?
You don't.
You
That's how.
don't. It's a Doxa. It's a diver. It's got everything you want. It's a great size. It wears really good. You can throw it on pretty much any strap you could ever imagine. And you still, at the end of the day, could say it's a Doxa. Right? It's the ideal type of go anywhere, do anything watch. And I almost dare dad to be able to beat this thing to oblivion and make it not work.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, you know where my sensibilities lie on this watch. I own it. I mean, I don't have the you said the yellow version, right? That's when you were
Well,
what
I'm
you're
just
thinking about?
saying, I was just segueing with the yellow version because you were using the cheese icon. But that's another thing is you can get him, you can get him any color you want, even the white
Yeah.
pearl or whatever he's
The-
into. Whatever fits his sort of wardrobe motif or sort of who he is.
it's a great watch for sure. I've had the navy one for a while. It's kind of got the navy and the vintage super luminova, but the aquamarine is an amazing choice. Shout out to our friend Kelly at On Her Own Time, who's been obsessing about this watch, and I keep telling her just to pull the trigger. It's a fantastic piece. The yellow, the diving star is actually a really, really sharp version in person. I saw it recently in store. It looks amazing. So any of these sub 200s, they are fantastic, and the price point at under $1,000 is just it's insane. You can rock it on rubber. You can rock it on bracelet. You could throw it on a tropic. It looks fantastic. Um, and if you get a cool white pearl one, and maybe just wait a little bit of time for those straps to come out in 19 millimeter and throw it on that. There
Oh,
you
that
go.
could look mean.
It would look hella mean for sure.
Yeah, or you could go with the aquamarine, throw the pink on it, and just be super Miami.
There you go. I love it. I'm here for it. It's a great
No,
choice.
the aquamarine, to be fair for everybody, first of all, it was out before the Tiffany phase, but it is not anywhere near
Yes.
that. It is very turquoisey, and it's very different.
It's great. It's such a good color, and it's one of my personal favorites. I'm constantly torn between that one and some of the other colorways in the 200 and the sub 300 category. So I saw the white pearl in person. I'm not gonna lie, man. It looks pretty sweet. So I don't know.
And I do love that they make identical color match straps.
Yes, they do that. They
And I
do that.
think that that looks especially mean on the carbon models because you get that black to break up the color.
Yeah.
Like the
They
aquamarine and the professional and that looks so ridiculous. But
yeah. I saw the carbon aquamarine last week, and oh, makes you really want to like start checking your bank statements. It's
yeah,
like,
that's a bad mofo right there.
can I pull this up? I mean, even the sub 300 in steel in the aquamarine is just it's a banger of a watch. So all the Doxas, if you don't own one in your collection, you guys know where my sensibilities lie. If you've been listening to this podcast, go get a Doxa. They are fantastic. They're very cool. They're priced reasonably well, and you can order them now in the US. So if you live anywhere close to New York City or close to a Watches of Switzerland, which they seem to be popping up everywhere in the US. They are the official retailer of Doxa. So you can call them up. They can ship you a watch. There
And
you go.
even the cool stamped vintage models, they're a little pricey, but they're not outrageously expensive.
Yeah.
You can get them, which is nice.
Yeah.
Right, for
You
all
can
the
get them.
different organizations that have stamped doxodials, which are also pretty cool to look at between the different ones.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, Speaking of stuff that's different to look at, this is a watch for me. It's something that I want to personally add to my collection. Maybe not this exact reference, because it's a little bit more than I would probably spend on this type of watch. But I think every dad at some point needs a little bit of bling, and they need something that's a little bit snazzy.
Yeah.
Um, and a couple years ago, we saw the introduction of the Tissot PRX in the quartz version, which broke the internet for the watches. Everyone's buying them. It was priced so accessible at like around $400, and it's just a great watch. And then last year they debuted the Powermatic A versions with the kind of almost tapisserie dials, so kind of very very Royal Oakish looking on the dials. Great watch. The bracelet is fantastic. They now feature quick change spring bars. You can swap them out to straps, and Tissot's carrying strap options now and all this stuff. But there's a specific version that they kind of sneakily debuted. It's a blue dial with a fluted solid 18 karat
Ah,
gold bezel.
yes.
This watch is awesome. It's
Very
on the
sharp.
higher end of the spectrum because it does have that solid gold bezel. It's going to come in at 1850 US, but even still, this watch with the solid gold bezel is absolutely awesome. I love the way that it's got that classic kind of 80s two-tone vibe to it. Um, it just looks good. It looks very, very good. And specifically in contrast to even the standard, PRXs that are out there, they have the smooth bezel. This one adds a little bit of extra pizzazz. And I just think it's a home run. It looks really good.
And it is 18K gold, right?
It is, yeah, it's solid 18 karat.
18
They
karat.
have,
But
they have two versions. There's one with like a brown dial, that is kind of like a chocolatey color, and then they subsequently came out with this version, which is a blue dial, and I think they're more on the rose goldy tone.
yep.
But either way, it just looks really mean, very like 70s, 80s, like Wall Street banker, especially because the bezel is fluted, like truly fluted. I think it looks fantastic. and it's a home run. Now, if you cannot spring for the solid gold version, they do make a regular PRX with a gold plated bezel that's in that same kind of two-tone aesthetic, and it is an automatic version. So it's going to have the red gold bezel, red gold hands. It's going to have a white kind of tapisserie dial, and it's just going to be the standard version, not the solid gold. But if it's me and I had a little bit of extra cash laying around for pops, solid gold is what he'd be rocking.
Yeah, it's nice. You get them little precious metals. And I think if you have a dad that grew up in that era where gold was really popular, 70s ish, I think that's like a home run for them. Because not only are you going to get a classic look, because you're getting a somewhat Genta inspired design, you're getting a fluted bezel, which reminds everybody of Rolex for obvious reasons, and you're getting precious metals. I think it's got connections, or at least derivative properties, from a lot of different popular watches or popular watch brands. So I think just looking at it from the naked eye of somebody who is not involved, they just see that and they think that looks valuable, right? Exactly. It looks stylish. It looks like something that someone will wear who's in it to win it.
Yeah, and I mean, what's crazy is, I don't know if you saw this, but I think it was Klay Thompson. He had like the gold plated quartz version that he wore after they won, because he plays for Golden State. Yep. Yeah. So he had the quartz gold plated version of the Tissot PRX, and he was wearing it after they won the game, and like everyone was like posting about it, that it was like, you know, some type of like royal oak and all this stuff, because they had misspotted it, and it turned out to be a quartz gold plated PRX, and I was like, that is the ultimate watch.
Ultimate humble flex.
Yeah, I mean, just because it's like, it's so cool that everyone thought it was something else, and it just so happened to be like this normal watch. It's like $600. Like, to me, that was
especially because cool. Steph bought, I don't know if he was in that, but Steph bought a bunch of them Submariners, I think.
Oh, I mean,
I know Draymond was in it, Iguodala was in it. I don't know if Klay was in that little huddle when they had them all there, but I remember everybody featured the stupid picture of Steph giving them out to the other guys. But I know he bought, when I think for his MVP, maybe he bought a bunch of I think it's subs for everybody. But
I mean, that would make sense, I guess. It would make sense. I mean, I can't even get one, but you know, he can get like 40, I guess.
Yeah,
but,
of course.
It's fine. It's fine. It's whatever. I'm not salty about it at all. Oh, there you go, man. Swatch Powermatic 80 18 karat gold blue dial. Put it on your dad's list. It's a banger.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, it's kind of cool. In a similar idea of the way you approached your Tissot pick, I went with a Seiko pick that, even though it is technically a limited edition, it's not very limited. You can find these in department stores. I know a friend who keeps going back to our local Macy's and checking this one out. It is the Seiko SJE 073. It is known as the Baby Grand Seiko. It is a baby, I think Baby Snowflake maybe even, but it's a Seiko Presage, very basic looking, blue hands, almost a Blizzard dial. Not quite the Snowflake dial, but it's basically just got the Grand Seiko aesthetic in a Seiko package, more or less. And my friend raves about this thing. He says it's finished well beyond Seiko standards, and that he feels like it's a tremendous deal. And I think it's somewhere right around $1,000. But
this is a sharp looking.
It's watch. A looker all the way around. It's kind of standard dimensions, and you're getting.
It looks like a Grand Seiko.
It does. It looks a lot like a Grand Seiko. It kind of looks like one of those like run of the mill Grand Seikos that you kind of just like glaze over because you're like, oh, that's a Grand Seiko, and you're like, well, it's not like one of those special ones. It's not the Snowflake. It's not the Whirlpool. It's not
right.
One of the Seasons. It's just one of these models that I've kind of glazed over a bunch of times and not really paid attention to. But you come back and you're like, oh, that's nice. That's sort of what it looks like. But for a watch that's well below Grand Seiko price point, that's a good thing.
Yeah, but even the case is finished in kind of the same. It's got that very angular case design on the lugs. It's got, you know, these very sharp pointed elements on the markers and on the hands. This looks like a Grand Seiko when Grand Seiko really first started entering into the US market about 10, 15 years ago.
Yep.
Like that's kind of what I remember Grand Seiko to look like. And that it's still a very good looking watch. I don't think I've ever seen this watch before,
Yeah,
but it
it's a
looks
very,
fantastic.
very big sleeper.
It looks fantastic. Well, I mean, not anymore because you just talked about it. Now everyone's gonna go out and find it. But this is a very handsome looking watch.
But yeah, it's been around a minute, and yeah, you can get kind of into that aesthetic for a lot less than usual. And also, Seiko's been around a while. I'm sure Dad knows about Seiko. I'm sure they've had some sort of an interaction, whether it be through movies or through friends or whatever it might be. But the even just the sort of the watches that this evokes inspiration from, like the old King Seikos, like those are some
Yeah.
collector favorites. Like people would see this and be like, "Oh, is that a King Seiko or is that a Grand Seiko?"
Yeah,
No,
for
but
sure.
that's still a real good looking watch.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I could not agree more. This is the first time I've ever seen it. And I'm glad you're showing it to me because I'm gonna write this down. I want to see if I can find one. It's a very handsome watch.
Very.
This is the SJE
Zero
073.
7 3, and I know it is
Not to be confused by 083.
no, and I know it's a quote unquote limited edition, but I feel like it's one of those like 20,000 piece limited editions.
Yeah, it's limited by the markings on the case only, and not actually in its presence in the real world.
Right.
Kind of like the old Omega limited editions. Well, it's one out of 20,000. It's like, oh, okay, all right, okay. No, it looks really good, man. This is very cool.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a winner all the way around. So I think as a dad, I would be both happy to give and receive this one.
Looks good. I like it. That's a solid choice. And for those of you who are listening that are like, hey man, I can't spring for Grand Seiko, go get this watch. It looks fantastic. Maybe not even for your dad, just get it for yourself. The dial is awesome. It's like frozen ice.
And this is one thing that I do love that Seiko does is there are sneaky models like this where they put Grand Seiko touches into these watches.
Yeah.
Like there's a baby turtle in Kirizuri. There's a cocktail time with I can't remember which pattern on it. I know there's one with snowflake pattern. There might even be one similar to my spring pattern. It's sort of like all different brush strokes in different directions. They have some wild stuff in the affordable range. They just weasel in there here and there. And I think people, it goes right over their heads because they offer so much. But like, if you stumble into that, like, wow, like they really do put some crazy effort into some things.
I mean, I have clicked on probably 100 images on this since you've brought it up, and I have not found a bad one. I have not found one where this watch looks bad. It looks awesome. The dial is kind of like a silvery white frozen ice texture. I love the little accents of the Presage and automatic in blue. You have the blue second hand, which is very old school Grand Seiko. The angular case, the faceted hour markers in the hands. It looks awesome, and it even looks like a Grand Seiko bracelet. I mean, it for all intents and purposes, to me, this is a Grand Seiko without the high class movement and without the Grand Seiko moniker on the dial. It's a very good looking watch. Wow. Okay, I'm gonna have to go find this. Oh, and it's okay. I guess it's been out since about what 2018. It looks like. Who didn't get an article about it? That's crazy. That is very, very crazy. Okay. All right. So I think all dads at some point, I think eventually you run into the dad. It's like, I want something nice, but I'm not going to break the bank getting it. And for me, there's a lot of dads out there that kind of exist in this vein. And it's almost one of those things where if you're going to get them something, like they're never going to buy it for themselves. They're just going to have to bite the bullet and do it for them and then give it to them. But, like typical dad fashion, they don't want you to go out and spend an arm and a leg to get something nice for them. So I wanted to have something that would kind of satiate that price point as well. And I came across a really nice new swatch. It's part of the System 51 collection,
It
and
is
it's
a moon
called
watch.
no, definitely not a moon swatch. I wasn't gonna be that guy.
No,
Uh,
I don't think it's rough
can
and
it,
tumble enough for dad.
yeah, no, not for sure. But it's part of the Swatch line, specifically part of the System 51 line. But the actual name of the watch is called the Unavoidable. It's a small seconds System 51, so it's fully mechanical. It is automatic winding. What I love about the System 51s, if you guys are not familiar with those, yes, Swatch makes quartz watches. These are mechanical. And what's interesting about the 51 is it's the only watch movement that I know of that is completely assembled by robots as well as regulated by robots. There's no human intervention in these watches at all. That's how Swatch can keep the price points down, but still deliver a very awesome product. And as far as I remember, all System 51s have 80-hour power reserves. And I think this watch just looks very good. It's very simple. It's classy. It's a little bit thicker, because it's got some stuff going on. But I think this is a very cool watch. And with the small seconds, it's a little bit different. You know, it's got kind of like a silvery dial. It comes on like a leather strap, but a very, very cool timepiece for sure. The Unavoidable System 51.
Regulated by robots, eh?
Yeah,
So when the machines take over, this will be what they're wearing.
exactly right.
Because they'll need
When
analog time.
exactly when Skynet goes live.
Yes, when
this is
Skynet
what
goes
they're gonna have.
live, this will be the only watch left.
Yeah, but I mean, I just think it's cool. I mean, I think you pulled up a picture of it. What do you
I
think?
did. No, it's definitely got some panache to it. Black markers, kind of
Sunbrush dial.
small seconds, which I like. Angular date.
Yeah, I just think it's cool. Like it looks cool to me.
I feel like it's definitely a conversation piece. Like somebody would see that and be like, "Well, that's unique."
And I think price point's like 220, $230 US. Like, is it cheap? No, but is it like something you couldn't?
Expensive? Also, no.
Yeah, exactly. Could you not stretch for that? I mean, there's there's some guys who make bespoke straps that cost more than this.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like it's crazy. But I just think if for somebody who wants to get somebody in their life something very special and simple, it's still very cool. That isn't a terrible investment. I think this is a very cool option for them.
Yeah, and I
It's
think
just different,
as far as public perception, I mean, Swatch is a known brand. It's not like
right?
it's nobody. I think everybody at some point has encountered a Swatch, whether it was in your teen years and you were just buying fun kind of plasticky ones, or there's Swatch collectors out there.
Yeah.
And
Some
now
of these watches
obviously,
go for a lot of money.
yeah,
It's
and
kind
now
of
obviously
crazy.
with the Moon Swatch is a whole nother breed of people chasing Swatches. So it's just it's a well-known brand that has sort of a wide variety of consumers, and I think you'll be able to at least get a little bit of, you'll get the nod. Okay, it's a Swatch nod, right? I mean, I know a lot of people who are pretty big in the industry that are Swatch collectors. They have a collection of, like, a sub collection within their collection of Swatches.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Nope. I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I don't really have too much more. I had a few that I was just I was mulling over. I was definitely looking for something in the Longines realm, but I always go back to the Spirit. I don't know. I guess.
Such a good watch, though.
Yeah, yeah.
It really is a good
I don't
watch.
think you go wrong. I mean, whenever I think of dads, I think of even dads who have like nicer stuff. I always think Breitling. I always think who else? There's another obvious one. Tag Heuer.
Yeah.
Those are
Yeah.
like the
I mean, the
dads that I
Aqua,
run
the
into.
Aqua Racer is kind of like that's a very
Yeah,
ubiquitous
ubiquitous
dad
dad watch. Exactly. So those are ones I wanted to stay away from, but also those are a little more expensive than what I was looking for. So
Sure.
I wanted to, get dad in the door without breaking into his bank, I guess.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. So I have a few more kind of honorable mentions
Go
if you
ahead,
don't
roll
have
them off.
anything that you don't have. So this watch here that I wanted to bring up is it's totally not a watch guy's watch. But there's a buddy of mine that's in a collector group that I'm a part of, and he has this watch and he posts it every once in a while. It's quartz, it's nothing fancy. It's less than $200 US, but it's manufactured by a company called Mr. Jones. And these are just watches that are kind of like silly artistry watches that I think are based in London. But there's one that's called the name is A Perfectly Useless Afternoon. It's the actual name of the watch. And it's basically a caricature of a person, a man, sitting in an inner tube, reading a book, floating in a swimming pool. And that is like actually how you read the time. So as you're looking down on this watch, you see the person floating. He's got kind of his foot kicked forward, and I believe that's the hour hand. And there's like this like small rubber ducky pool
Yeah, I
toy
see that. It's a
that becomes the minute hand. It's
that's
just
really funny.
it's completely hilarious. It's just so silly to me, but it's just kind of like that's what dad should be doing, floating in an inner tube somewhere in a nice, relaxing pool, drinking a beer, and having a completely useless afternoon. I don't know what it is. It's a quirky watch for me. It totally has dad vibes. And that to me is kind of like I feel like that's the watch that your dad looks forward to all year wearing. It's like, all right, I can finally wear my summer watch. And he pulls out this
The inner tube
ridiculousness.
watch.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
They should let you customize the dad in the tube.
That would be cool. That would be so cool. But I just think it's kind of a funny dial. I think it looks hilarious.
This is
And
like
it's
the
just,
silly Zodiac astrographic.
yeah,
It's got the
yeah.
little floating duck around the outside.
I just think it's hilarious. And every time he posts it in our like watch collector group, I'm just like, I need to own this watch just because it's so stupid.
Yeah,
Like
no, I can get down
it's
with
just
this.
funny. It's just funny. And it does come in two sizes. There's like a smaller size, like it's like 40 or 41, and then there's a larger size at like 44, 45. Two different case sizes there. They're both on Milanese mesh bracelets. It's just a cool looking watch. It's fun. It's not something that's meant to be taken seriously. But I think that this is a cool watch that any dad would really kind of geek out about, like on a summer cookout or something like that, where they gotta flex their wrist game a little bit. It's certainly something that's gonna get noticed by somebody for sure.
Yeah, I'm getting a little
Um,
Dilbert vibe from it.
like it's just I don't know, man. It's very whimsical. It's very stupid, but I really do think it's cool. I really do think it's cool. So there was that one. Kind of my last real honorable mention, kind of in that same type of price point, is the new Q Timex GMT,
Yeah, good pick.
specifically the all blacked out version on the black synthetic rubber strap. It hasn't hit the stores yet, but it is posted on their website. I cannot wait for this watch. I think it's going to be awesome. I think it's going to be a great way to get a younger, you know, new clientele into the world of watches. It's a GMT. The colorways look sick, and it's on a rubber strap. So really, really hard not to like this watch. It's a really, really great package, and you know, people have been fawning over the Q Timex for a long time, myself included. Uh, I think that this version is probably one of the better looking ones because it's kind of like this stealthy, almost like Knight Rider vibes.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just feel like it's Kit talking to me in a watch form. But it's very cool. So Timex, if you're ever listening, please get this watch out to market as quickly as possible. And please, please, please make these synthetic rubber straps available to purchase separately so that the rest of us with these crazy bracelets that we've had in our Q Timexes for years can finally wear something different than that. This would be a godsend. So please, if you are listening to this, put those out there so we can buy them. I keep checking. They're not there yet. I would love to be able to purchase this strap for this watch.
I would also like to know when the green and black Destro is coming out.
Yes. Please give us a green and black Destro Timex Q and just break the
Just
internet.
let him have it. Let him
Just
have it.
let them have it unabashedly. Just do it.
It's
and
there
we
for the
will
taking.
all flock to it. We will all flock to it.
Mic drop.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm here for it. Why would I want to go get a Destro, Rolex GMT when I could buy this thing and it would be so much cooler?
I can't lie, that bracelet, the newer bracelet, is pretty cool.
What,
It's
what do
got
you
like
mean?
the new Timex Q. It's got like the two big links down the center.
Oh yeah. They've done some different ones on some like the specialty models and stuff that they've done over the years. But I mean, I'm really looking forward to that. It's like a tropical style like rubber. Um, I think it's probably silicone given the cost of the watch, but I don't know. I just think it would look really cool. And there's I know that they have one that's like the standard Q, like on a blue rubber, which I think would be awesome. And I totally want that strap. So please make it make it available for the rest of us to buy. Somebody's got to be listening to this podcast that matters.
I was gonna make a snide comment, but yeah, you'll see it in a week. Don't worry about it.
That's fine. It's
It'll
fine. All the
pop up
stuff that we
somewhere.
cover finally comes up again. But yeah, man. Last two that I got: Christopher Ward C65 Dartmouth, kind of like a retro diver, under $1,000, and then my all-time favorite kind of vintage diver, the Mito Ocean Star Tribute in the aqua blue. And that's it. That's all I got.
I think that's a solid list. I think we put together a pretty good little package for Dad, even if it is a little bit after Father's Day that we had to drop this, thanks to some travel delay. But regardless, I think we did him justice, and I think I would be happy with any of these watches on this list. So
Yeah. And let me just say this: it's never too late to buy your dad something cool. Even if Father's Day is past, just say, "Hey, man, it got late in the mail. It's fine." You think he's gonna care when you give him a cool watch? No,
that's right.
Dad's gonna love you.
Or there's always
Dad'll love you
Christmas.
regardless.
And on that note, I think we could take this one out. Schmitty, see you next week, I guess.
Yes, sir. Next week we'll see you guys. Thanks again for joining in to another episode 36. And we'll catch you on the next one.
Peace.